Forming one of the strongest 1-2 reach-throughs in the history of mankind to bust to levels not seen in over 9 months and beyond. Are the Moon Boys right now drinking a little too much of their own juice as they are now predicting a $1 million Bitcoin in 90 days? And as Grandfather Time and a walking corpse himself step in to discuss with senior dementia advocate Joe Biden on how to save the banks, something absolutely ginormous is coming this time. And yes, it's absolutely very big. Right now, Bitcoin enters potentially its biggest week of not only the last year, but potentially the last 2 years. As right now, Bitcoin sits at a very critical spot as people are now predicting hyperinflation and some of the most banana things you've ever heard in history. And I want to jump into these charts, but I want to talk about this first. On January 9th of this year, according to CryptoCon, when Bitcoin was at $17,000, activity spiked in the coin days destroyed. Now he's saying it's time to prepare for an over-exuberant rally, which happens after this metric resets. The coin days destroyed metric. Don't underestimate how high it can go. And you can see that after the market bottom activity spike, rally after reset, this purple box on this chart is considered unanimously worldwide the biggest bustulation, the biggest bust pattern on these charts. And it's something very big about what's going to be happening in the very short term. But I don't want to get overly bullish. And in fact, one of my least favorite things that I've seen over the last few days is this. Balaji, let's try and pronounce this, Balaji Srinivasan says hyperinflation is happening now, and it makes $1 million Bitcoin likely within 90 days. So who is this guy? Angel investor, tech founder, Wall Street Journal bestselling author. I'm sure many of you guys have been hearing about this over the last 24 hours. But this, in my opinion, is not something I want to see. I do not want to see Bitcoin go up $10,000 over the last month, and all of a sudden, people are predicting $1 million. It's absolutely, as somebody who likes to be bullish, as somebody who comically is, a moon boy, right? This blows me out of the water. I basically can't be more bullish than this. I mean, for pizza's sake. So to me, this almost just looks like a competition to see who can be the biggest moon boy, period. So, is this possible? Absolutely. Anything is possible. Is it possible within 90 days? I guess. Technically the world could explode tomorrow. So anything is possible. But, for this to happen, he does cite that we would need hyperinflation to really kick off. And again, there's some evidence for this. It's not like he's completely pulling it out of his butt. Although a little bit. He's a little bit pulling this out of his butt. But, what are the chances of this? I don't really know. It's absolutely possible. Do I want anyone to be talking about it? No, right? It's almost like a $100,000 per Bitcoin by the end of 2021 on steroids. And again, I just personally don't like seeing people get this bullish this quickly. It's just a little, it's crazy, right? But here we have Grandfather Time and another person who may or may not be alive, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, whatever, in discussions with Biden officials on the banking crisis, right? They have people in the Biden administration going to the oldest gentlemen that have ever existed. I've heard nearly 1,000 years old these gentlemen are, in terms of, they need their advice on can we save the banks? And as we discussed in the video I made 2 days ago, there's estimated to be nearly 200 other banks that could have the same exact trajectory in terms of collapsing as SVB and Signature Bank and similar things happening to Credit Suisse right now as we speak. So this is very big. The fact that the Biden administration is now looking to wizards that existed 1,000 years ago as planet Earth was being created itself really shows how desperate the administration is. But as well, this is very important. So if the Fed does not contain the regional banking collapse, another Great Depression is coming, according to Zero Hedge here. Small and medium banks account for 50% of U.S. commercial and industrial lending, 60% of residential real estate lending, 80% of commercial real estate lending, and 45% of consumer lending. And as we saw from that clip of Janet Yellen just a couple days ago, the regional banks are not safe. Basically, she's saying, they can collapse. Forget them. F them is basically what she said. So with that in mind, if they are really only going to try to keep safe the GSIBs or the globally systemically important banks, which are, the top, I believe it's like the big four banks, whether that's a plot to just make everybody go to one bank so it's easier to introduce a CBDC. I know a lot of people talk about that. Whatever the case is, if regional banks collapse, guys, I mean, this is going to be huge, big time. And do you think Grandma Yellen and all the other senior citizens in politics and in government really understand what exactly is going to happen? Maybe, because there's conspiracies that they know exactly what they're doing. I think they potentially are true, and I also think it's potentially true they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I have very little faith in the people in government, and I don't think you should have much faith in them either. But yeah, I mean, your opinion, you can choose to believe in them if you want. But Holger Shapitz here on Twitter, the recent rally in bonds, this is absolutely very big, the recent rally in bonds should have significantly reduced stress in the banking system. The value of all bonds has increased over $2 trillion since the banking stress erupted 10 days ago. And this is also very interesting. After losing millions of dollars shorting Bitcoin and Ethereum, a whale on GMX finally throws in the towel and flips to 20x leverage long on ETH. Is this the time to get bearish then, considering this guy was just shorting this gigantic rally and now has switched? Just a piece I think is absolutely bananas here. But again, I want to reiterate that Powell said this month the interest rates are likely to head higher than central bank policymakers had expected, and we will stay the course until the job is done. So in just a few days, the FOMC meeting where Powell will introduce what their newest hike is, if a hike or just a pause or a pivot, this is going to be big. This is going to be coming up this week, which I personally think will make this the biggest week of the year. It's going to be gigantic because I'm very curious to see how the market reacts if they actually pause and if they actually go through with another rate hike. That'll be interesting as well. Is that going to further just decimate some of these banks? Probably. They've already kind of admitted, though, they don't care. They're going to keep doing that and destroy as many regional banks as possible. And you guys know what happened the last 2 times the stock market did this? Well, I'm sure you can take a guess. Very big. As well, Silicon Valley Bank UK handed out over 18 million in executive bonuses after HSBC rescued it. And were not regularly scheduled. This is completely bananas. They're doing this because they know they're getting bailed out, right? Silicon Valley Bank didn't. But it's just crazy. If you think these banks are mismanaging money, then you're absolutely right. That's exactly what's happening. But also here we have people talking about this, which is this gigantic resistance, right, that we've been looking at. Richard Hart saying if someone put a gun to my head and said draw resistance, this is where he's saying resistance would be. But it absolutely is worth noting that this same exact thing happened. This clear resistance was also in the last bear market. As we were exiting the bear market, the exact mirror, basically, if we would have to pick one mirror of the last bear market to where we are now, happened. And I mean, it kind of just went above it, right? It did take a month or two to get above it, but it ultimately just kind of sliced right through it. So just because we have this very big resistance here doesn't mean we're just going to get complete rejection. Could it take a while to get above it? Yeah, it could take a couple weeks or even a month or two, right? But that doesn't mean it's automatically going to get rejected. I mean, look what happened last time. And also here, we have Microsoft building a Bitcoin and crypto wallet in its Edge browser. I don't know if anyone uses Microsoft Edge. I surely don't. But it will be non-custodial, and it is just further adoption here. And as well, I am actually trading this move. Currently, I'm up about 18,000 USD in this trading account between the 4 positions I've opened with Bitcoin, ETH, and 2 altcoins. Very big there. If you guys are interested, massive sign-up bonuses and deposit bonuses below. Over 50,000 combined between the 3 exchanges in my description when you sign up with those links below. Now, Bitcoin, clearly, you can see it has strength here. Now, again, are people fearful of kind of where we are with Bitcoin's price in terms of if we'll get a rejection? If we go to this chart, this gigantic range right here that I just showed you, potentially it could take some time to get above this. But guys, keep in mind, we have a lot of things on our side, and specifically on Bitcoin's weekly chart, this looks very big to me. We have potentially massive MACD switcheroo on course to just completely erupt here. We have this ginormous multi-year, or about a year and a half, falling wedge breaking out. These macro patterns have a very good track record. Specifically, remember the one that happened in 2018. It was a symmetrical triangle like this. That was actually pretty accurately drawn for just squiggling there. And it completely busted after a back test, right? We see that back test right here. Let me actually get rid of this so you can kind of maybe see this better. You see this, the bust, back test, and complete eruption. Now, what do we have here? We have a falling wedge with a bust, back test. Now, if we would start erupting here, how many of you are in positions, are long right now? How many of you would benefit massively from Bitcoin pumping right now? I know a lot of people have not benefited, meaning completely got liquidated on their shorts. We've seen record amounts of shorts get completely busted from this move so far, from about 15,000 to 27,000, right? A lot of people were short on this, and a lot of people got completely creamed, split wide open and sent crying home to their mommies, right? So again, the potential for a massive bust is there. The DXY continues to look very weak. We've been following this forever, so this is promising in terms of rejection there. The stock market, however, doesn't look good, but again, this new narrative, Bitcoin's most powerful narrative of all time, where banks start collapsing and Bitcoin starts doing well, might be the first real chance that Bitcoin can decouple, and the gains that can come with that are bigger than anything you could ever imagine. And as I said, currently I'm up about almost $20,000 in profit on, just trading this move. If we have a bigger bust, then the profits will be absolutely ginormous, in addition to just my holding portfolio as well. But if you guys are interested in getting massive bonuses and signing up with my link specifically, check the description, and there are tutorials as well popping up for BitGet, BITGET, and Femex below as well. Without further ado, that's it for me.